Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Roliver Queen. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing good. And as always, I am joined by a lovely, scrumptious, delicious, handsome as fuck, and flavorful homeboy Quentin. Please reintroduce yourself to the people.
What's up, y'all? It's Q again. I'm just living life right now. I'm ready to talk some comics.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So we finally did it. We finally reached the end of Absolute Power. So, me, Quentin, and AJ, who unfortunately can't be here or he may pop in, we've been covering most of Absolute Power. So it's only right that we cover the end as well as how it goes into DC All In because both of them came back to back this past week. So, Quentin, now that it's over, you know what we got to start with? Initial thoughts. Brother, how you feeling? How you feeling?
If we're just talking about emotion, like especially the whole week, if you consider everything this what this connects to, emotionally, I'm all in. Lack of a pun there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I think Absolute Power. Now, I only have one real gripe with Absolute Power, but it's the story wise is it gave me what I needed. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was a different format of doing an event because if you look at the side stories, they were really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to iFanboy podcast, and they were talking about, how Damien had a really, if you think about it, Damien and Wonder Woman played a major factor in everything in this story.
Mm-hmm.
But the Damien stuff took place in Wonder Woman, not the
Yeah.
main Absolute universe. I mean, the main Absolute Power story. And I think that allowed the four issues to strictly state action based,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like action based, big moments, reveal moments, right? Like so sometimes it can feel like hollow, right? Like kind of like we got. If somebody said like it felt like issue four, we were already on the downside of the roller coaster, right? It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like the build up, then we drop. It felt like going into that first page, it was down, and that's not necessarily how I feel because I like it. The big back bitch got what she deserved. All right, all right. I I think we have just witnessed the the breakout of a new A-lister hero or
Mm-hmm.
A-lister anti-hero.
Yep.
I don't think Dreamer is going to be a hero like the way he might have been portrayed in like Supergirl television show.
Mm-hmm.
I think Amanda Waller kind of effect on her, both as a kind of like a reluctant mentor, so to say,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole PTSD of her like taking her family and all that shit. He's gonna shape her into something critical. But I'm getting on ranting a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, to answer your question, I personally loved it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of comic that I like to pick up. Right? It's not too heavy. You know what I'm saying? I could pick that. It wasn't short. It wasn't super long. It wasn't super. The artwork did most of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Right? And I think our boy Wally came through. I mean, not Wally. Ali came through. Do I think you're gonna get? So that was the black box resolution right there. That's the closest thing you're gonna get to it. Now, do I think there's gonna be some way that we kind of give more detail? We need to see the conversation Ali had with Martian Manhunter. That's probably my biggest issue with that heel
Yeah.
turn.
Mm-hmm.
But you can kind of see the different times either Ali snapped out of it or when it ended,
Yeah.
right? Going back to when he kicked Roy out the plane. So if you solely watch like from between the Arrow books and the Absolute Power stuff, Absolute Power looks like, especially like issue one and two, seemed like the effects of the mind plant was still kind of in play.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I think this is a Green Arrow, Dreamer, Amanda Waller event. I believe that this is Green Arrow seeing that he's not Batman in a sense, right? He's capable like that. He could pull it off, but Green Arrow's just never gonna come out clean. I think that's the best way. That's the best part about it. I do think Ali got off a little easy, right? I think the
Yeah.
league kind of let him off a little easy,
And I'm gonna get to
but I
that
but
after,
it, that
but
but
keep
that's
going. Mm-hmm.
But that's to be determined. That's to be determined. And I also like the idea that the powers didn't return to everybody. Now I know that got spoiled a little earlier when the book released, but like also because of that, that's a problem with Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey does like we don't see Diana use I beam powers and it's not addressed. So I want to see how that works with the whole I all in banner and absolute power matters and its big ramifications. So like how's that gonna affect Kelly Thompson's book with the Birds of Prey? Um, Plastic Man got invisibility, right? Fire now has Ice's power and Ice now has Fire's power. Uh, but nah, man. I like it. To round it out, I really enjoyed Absolute Power. I think I didn't want to get ahead of myself because I think majority of my feelings about Absolute Power reside in another book, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so I'm gonna go. How did you feel about it?
Um. So I said this on Twitter, but I like absolute power. I think this is one of the stronger finale events, but unfortunately, I think it's one of the weaker of the Dawn of DC ones. I'm I really want to know what the conversations were in the editorial room because I do think when I sit down and reread everything, it's gonna hit harder. But I think just how everything was planned out in real time, it was very janky. The fact that you could think about this in two ways, and I have to think about this in two ways because that's just how my brain works. So if you're just reading Absolute Power, I think you got the shit end of the stick. If just those four issues, you got the shit end of the stick. Because we also have to count for people who don't like to read tie-ins. They don't want to pick up a book that they weren't picking up before. They feel, and I also feel to an extent, that if I have an event book, a main event book, every single issue needs to cover the main story. Like I should get something in each
Yeah,
and every single issue. I should have a complete experience within the main books. The thing with Absolute Power is that you don't get the full story in those four issues. You just get like a straight shot. And if you were just reading it from front to back, like one, two, three, four, you're gonna be like, what the hell was this? Especially with the fact that it's only four issues, not like five or six like typically other events are. It's just four. So
yeah.
this feels very, very fast. So I feel for the people there. Now, if you're one of the people like me who, whenever you hear events, especially DC ones, you like to buy everything. I think I got a pretty good story here. Like the reveals that we got in the tie-ins were pretty dope. I'm surprised I even liked a lot of those tie-ins. And if we're talking Green Arrow, I'm hit or miss on how that whole thing went. I still think we need some explanations, but overall, I liked it. I think when I go back and reread all the Dawn of DC stuff, mainly just the events, I think this era of DC right here, the Dawn DC, I think narratively this is the best it's been in a very long time. And I say this as somebody who I did not like the Scott Snyder era. I don't even know. I don't even think we can even count Rebirth as an era because that just got derailed so bad. So for me, this has been the best DC has been narratively in a while. So from front to back, I think I could start from Dark Crisis, even though I hate it. You could go to Lazarus Planet, then you could go to Night Terrors, then you could go to Beast World, then you could go to Absolute Power. And I think narratively it works. The only main thing about that narrative that doesn't really sit right with me or that I think didn't really resolve properly was the Titans.
I'm glad you said that because I had something to say.
Yeah, so
Um,
go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, no. Just quick. The Titans thing. I don't think it was a Titan resolution, but it was a Nightwing resolution. But this also, I'm gonna let you finish what you're about to say, but I'm gonna say something else about the length of the book.
Mm-hmm.
I think the length and the timing of everything. I think I know why the timing and the length of the book seems off.
Mm.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So the Titan stuff again, we were made to believe, hey, these guys are taking over for the league. And this is the A team. And again, I'm always going to give credit where credit is due. I thought Beast World and even the beginning of Absolute Power did a good job of that. But I feel like towards the end, there was like barely any mentions of the Titans. It was literally just Green Arrow, just like, hey, no disrespect to the Titans, but we were dumb to dismantle the league because we dismantled the league. This is why I went rogue and blah 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 blah. I wish we could have gotten something more with the Titans involved at that end point instead of them just like being talked about off panel. Like a kind of like I would have liked the transition of power again, so to speak. And I think a lot of that has to do with how fast paced this whole entire event was.
Mm-hmm.
At least those 4 issues. So I think a lot
Yeah.
of things went under the rug. And I could be wrong. Maybe the things that went under the rug, they're going to be expounded upon later, like the box. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of just like gnawing at me at the end of this. And as for going into All In, I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. I really think that transition. I think DC got lucky with the fact that they put both back to back. We were made to believe in Absolute Power we were gonna see Darkseid, realize XYZ. And to be fair, we did see Darkseid, but it was in a Batman tie-in. How many people read that Batman tie-in? And then, but that Darkseid stuff wasn't even touched upon until DC All In. So I'm over here reading Absolute Power, like, hey, when is this Darkseid stuff coming up? But no, we don't see it. But luckily, we see it in All In. So it was just like, I don't know how I feel about that. Again, overall, I'm kind of getting all over the place. I think this was good, but the weaker of the Dawn of DC events.
I can see that.
Yeah, and I
I can
think
respect that.
in an omnibus, this is gonna hit. This is one of the events, one of the few modern events I will get an omnibus for because I think it's gonna read so good.
So, okay, I just want to like add to some of the stuff that some of your gripes. So the first thing is, I think one reason why we got this short 4 issue series and why what they probably did was this. All In was probably the ending of Absolute Power. Because in my head when I heard that, I figured they would beat Amanda Waller and on some Power Ranger shit, Darkseid comes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's like that. We end the book on some Soprano shit, and then All In, we pick up on it, right? That's what I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of thinking the structure would have been. Okay. Um, I don't know if your reading goes back to like pre-Flashpoint era,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you know, pre-Flashpoint, they had Final Crisis, right?
Yeah.
And they had the situation where Batman used the gun to shoot Darkseid. Darkseid blasts him. He goes back in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a time in between when the Green Lanterns, the Alpha Lanterns, attacked Bruce, right? That's it's like I think I forget what issue, but it's like a 2 issue Batman in between like them like getting ready to transition to to cease the book to get
Mm-hmm.
prepared for Flashpoint and shit like that, right? I think you're gonna get something like that with some of these All In books, right? You got to remember we have annuals coming up. So
Mm.
Joshua Williamson has 2 books left, right? He has the annual and the last I guess the first issue. No, this month's issue, I guess.
Hold on. I think that. Hold on.
Yes, I guess
Um.
the issue that just happened because I guess the next Green Arrow issue would be the All In book.
Yeah. This
Um,
this is his last one.
yeah, so I think the annual will probably wrap up the loose strings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pacing wise, I think if I'm gonna just go through the time the rabbit hole, I remember in 2020, or I think I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate. I want to say 2020 or 2021. I was listening to Rob Liefeld, and he was the one that ratted DC out. He was like, "Yeah, man, a bunch of my friends are working on this like Ultimate Universe DC thing. It's real hush hush. I shouldn't be even talking about it. Blah 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 blah." Right? And he didn't mention about it again. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
talked. You probably heard about it, tagged him in it, but it kind of got brushed under the rug, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started hearing like, I'm in Scott's teaching. I'm in Scott's his classes, and I listen to every podcast that he's on. So you can kind of tell that he was gearing up. I think we spoke about this before. Like he was
Yeah.
gearing up to come back to DC and do superhero stuff. And he kept saying he's gonna do these big bombastic kind of new stories. Yeah, I was like, okay. And then Ultimate Universe happens, right?
Hmm.
Boom. I didn't think Ultimate Universe was gonna hit as hard as it hit. Just sidebar after like Ultimate Invasion, I wasn't bought in yet. But getting back to the point, um, so I think they have been working on this for at least 3 to 4 years,
Hmm.
right? And I think it got to a point to where they wanted to roll it out because they probably had deals in line for promotion. Look at the promotion now. Most of it's with AEW and WWA. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably had stuff they wanted to start debuting, products, merch, shit like that. And that shit probably came faster than they expected. So Absolute Power couldn't be as long because they needed to get Absolute up and running, right? Because Scott was back. A lot of
Mm.
Scott books had already wrapped, right? He's not doing nothing, right? So he would have let him sit there. No, he's gonna promote, right? If I promote, that's the one thing that's always fumbled DC via movies, animation, comics is promotion. They don't promote for
Mm.
shit, right?
Hmm.
Scott has been on his Stan Lee. He's doing his best Stan Lee impression in the last few months, right? So I think that's why Absolute Power is so short. But I also think it's short because Mark Waid kept emphasizing that he wanted to feel like all hope was lost. Now, do I personally think you should have made this 6 issues at least? Because I think we should have sat with John either A as the villain, I mean like as like Cyborg Superman, or the
Hmm.
and the thought of him actually being fully corrupted a little
Yes.
bit longer. And I also do think we should have sat with him being depowered, you know what I'm saying, after everything for a little longer. It's tough, bro, because I want to say a lot of the leg work was already kind of going because Amanda Waller's been in every book since Dawn DC, in every book for the most part, right? She had a spy in Doom Patrol. That's never addressed, to my understanding, if I'm not mistaken. That is never addressed. Um, but no, I don't know, man. I enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
think, like I said, I think we're gonna get a lot of other books with like some of the loose trends. I think we got to see that Martian Manhunter conversation with Ali only if, for principle, just that exchange between Martian Manhunter and Bruce talking about the ironicness of him being hurt that nobody shared him in. And I was like, that's classic Batman right there,
Yeah.
classic Ali and classic John. I was like, that's pretty cool. And with All In, I guess I could transition to that if you want to.
Hmm.
But with All In, I had a sense of excitement, right? Personally, I love books that look the way like the alpha version did, right?
Hmm.
Like it was bright. I think the idea of using Booster as the end was really smart. Um, that book felt like a Justice League book. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I haven't felt like that since Dick Grayson was Batman in a long for the Justice League book with Starman and Donna as the leader. And even then, I don't even think that really compared to how I felt reading, seeing them create the book, seeing Mr. Terrific working with Batman, like things that I think should happen more often, right? Like certain heroes interacting with each other. Um, the feeling you get when you used to watch Justice League Unlimited,
Whew.
to be honest. And the only gripe I have is I think we got a lot of people that's stuck in the '90s grunge era, right? Like
What
I
do you
think
mean?
Scott loves. I mean, because like the absolute universe, the way it's depicted through Wes Craig's art in the Omega side in the flip book is very reminiscent of the aura that Dark Knights and Dark Metal, kind of allude that kind of punk rock, heavy metal type shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool, but I want to feel more post-apocalyptic. No, not even post-apocalyptic, just Doom. But I'm saying that just off of what I saw from the Legions, from the Legion. I thought it was gonna be a little more creative than that, right? I didn't think everything would have an Omega sign. You know what I mean? When they said
Yeah.
it was gonna be a world inspired by dark side, I didn't think that actually meant literally. You know, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
now it feels like we're on like what's that Earth when the Nazis took over? It feels like we're in that
Earth
world.
Zero.
Yeah, so it feels like we're there, and it doesn't feel like it's the last. I mean, at least to me, because I feel like if this is gonna be something that we're gonna get behind, right? Like most of us had with the Ultimate Universe. That that world is made in the image of the Maker, right?
Yep.
Technically, right? But it still feels like New York City. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It still feels like Wakanda. It
Hmm.
still feels like wherever, right? But it doesn't feel like the New York that you know. And I looked at that and I was disappointed. I mean, initially, I don't know how Gotham looks. I don't know how, you know, um, fuck, I forget what Wonder
Metropolis
Woman City,
or
Gateway City looks.
Themyscira.
Yeah, no, well, Gateway City because she's gonna be her base of operations is gonna be her OG like base of operations
Ah, okay,
Gateway
okay,
City because they said Damn Scared doesn't exist anymore because she's the last of the Amazons.
okay, okay.
So I I was expecting a little more originality or creativity with that aspect, especially with you having so much you could play with, right? Like the new characters that Dan Moore made for like the different multiverses from Kingdom Come, and it's just different groupings. You didn't have to use Legionnaires. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I also think I hate the Legion. I don't know. I don't think I'm
Uh,
a Legion fan, so I could be biased there.
I could never get into them. I'm sorry.
I don't get them,
It
bro.
yeah, it's I get it. They're I guess you could say like a big name, but like they just never nothing ever rang in my ear whenever I read Legion or saw Legion. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you.
It feels like the Teen Titans on steroids. It doesn't feel like the futuristic Justice League. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. And I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah. But no, if I'm judging all in based on the all in books I read, Batman looks amazing.
Yeah.
That was probably the best complete Batman book in a long time. And I know that's a popular thing to say, but if you really been reading Batman since like shit, I've been reading Batman since '08, long ass time, bro.
Hmm.
And
Oh, you
that
talk
book gave
about
me a
Chips? You mean Chips' new issue?
yeah, it's pretty good,
I heard about that one. I heard it's good.
pretty good. It's pretty good. And then like it's bringing back something that I've been very interested in them exploring, right? Um, so I'm excited about that. Like it has like four layers of intrigue of shit going on, right? But now it feels more like a Batman book. Bruce has his money. He's interacting with Leslie Thompson. Think it like I
Hmm.
see Jim fucking Gordon. You know what I'm saying? Like, but those small status quo changes are there still. Jim's not the commissioner. Some reason Vandal Savage is. You know what I'm saying? Those small wrinkles are there, and I think Batman is in a good place going farther than All In. I'm
Okay.
just I'm interested in seeing what Absolute's gonna do next week. Let's see if it's a bunch of plays, right? But as I would say, I have trust in my in my master. I I have faith in Scott Snyder when it comes to doing Batman. Right? We know who that is, and
Hmm.
this is him writing Batman without editorial like oversight of Dan DiDio. Right? He can kind of and Warner and AT&T. He can kind of do what he needs to do. Um, but all in, hey, but we gotta say, Dark Side looks like he is getting to it, bro. So whatever comes in the future, I mean, we have like a he took the Spectre, bro.
Yeah, let me talk about that for a little bit. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've made my thoughts about Dark Side and Snyder. I've made it very clear about how I feel. So did All In do a good job of convincing me that it won't be more or less of the same? I think it did a decent job of it. Like the explanation of the absolute universe, I could get behind it. Was a little bit too
Convoluted. It's
yeah,
convoluted.
it was convoluted. It was a little convoluted, but I understood it. Like you could have just said all of that without saying all of that. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Like it still would have hit. It would have hit.
Could have found an easier way to say it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So
But
that's but I don't even think Scott wrote that one. I think Williams was it Williams?
yeah,
No.
Scott wrote the back end, right, with Wes Craig. Josh wrote the one with Daniel Sapero.
Okay, yeah. So okay, Scott was the one that wrote the one. Okay, yeah. So yeah, a little convoluted, but I get it. I get it.
But
So
it's because he's trying to make sure everybody who's a reader who's been reading is paid off from like Death Metal and Dark
yeah,
Knights and
I like
Rebirth
that.
and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so cool. I can get behind that. And I do like that the issue mentioned some of my gripes, because there was like the page where we were going through the different experiences of Darkseid. Most recently he was part of the Dark Army, and he specifically said, I was a lackey, but that's just more or less of the same story. I was like, okay, you know what? Okay, yeah, you
You like that
realize,
shit?
yeah, you realize where you guys fucked up. But now I like the reason why he's back. So this could really be the layup that he needs to be the prime version or all that. I'm interested in seeing where it goes. So the first couple issues of whatever, like the main book will be, because I'm sure we're gonna get a book with Darkseid at some point. That's gonna be the selling point. Like
A Dark Side solo series would be kind of live.
I mean, Scott was supposed to do a Darkseid solo series. That's how this all came to be.
Oh, for real?
He was supposed, yeah, yep. The plan was originally for him to do a Darkseid solo, but then that manifested into the Absolute Universe. Yep. Mm-hmm. So I would assume we're gonna get a Darkseid series like down the line, and I just hope it's something again that is not too convoluted, not too complicated, and if I can feel the same way about Darkseid the way I do about the Maker, then I am 100% all in. Because unlike Darkseid, like the Maker is still a relatively new character for me. And
Yeah.
even in the short amount of time that I've known the Maker, he feels like a compelling villain. He feels like somebody that I want to get behind. I want to learn more about. Like I literally feel like this guy is severely fucked up, especially if you read the last issues of Ultimates. Like this guy, I get it. Like, okay, bro, I want to see what other twisted and fucked up shit you can do. If I can feel that way for Darkseid, a character who, I'm sorry, Dark Crisis ruined for me, then I think we'll be on a good path. So I'm
It's gonna be
willing to.
interesting because he's like a malevolent force. I wonder how that works.
And he. So yeah, there's a lot behind him. There's a lot of different layers to him. So again, I think Scott has more of an uphill battle with me than Hickman over there with the Ultimate Universe. And I'm also going to be fair too, because I wasn't the biggest fan of how things with Hickman ended up with X-Men, but he turned it around with the Ultimate Universe. I wasn't a big fan of what Scott Snyder did before with the metal stuff, but who knows? This time around, he can make a believer out of me. So that's really what I want. As for the Absolute stuff, all in, I did hear good things about Batman. I still have Birds of Prey that I need to catch up on, but I'm still excited to see how that goes. And I'm excited for a lot of the new books coming out. Like I'm interested in Nightwing. What else?
Nightwing looks good.
Nightwing's not even out yet.
Yeah, no, I'm saying from the preview I've seen.
The preview looks good. We got Dexter Soy in the mix, so that's gonna be good. And Dan Waters definitely made a believer out of me with those Detective Comics backups. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited, obviously, for Green Arrow, of course, and I'm excited for. I'm interested in Titans, and there's a couple other books. Oh, definitely Superman. I can't wait to see what happens there. And overall, I'm interested in most of the books. I like where a lot of the books are going to land, and I hope we really do get some of the resolution from Absolute Power. And I know it's a speed run. I keep calling it a speed run because I believe it's a speed run, but I want to see some fallout from this speed run. So I don't want this to just be like a footnote, because what I'm reading a lot now is just like people who weren't really reading all the tie-ins. They feel like this was just a quick footnote and it's not going to matter. But I want Absolute Power to matter because it's an event that I've wanted for a long time. It wasn't something that
Yeah,
was too complicated. It was still very grounded. It didn't get too cosmic. And yeah, it's an intimate story at the end of the day. But I want to see fallout from that, because we got fallout from Metal, we got fallout for Infinite Frontier. I want to see fallout from this. As for the Justice League, I agree with you. This was the first time in a long time where I was excited for a Justice League book. When Superman said, "Yo, we have our first mission," my dick got hard. My dick got hard, bro.
real shit.
Yo, I was like, yes, I inject this into my fucking veins, please. I'm also seeing the question and knowing that she's getting her own book. Like, I can't wait to see how she's gonna be as the head of security of the Watchtower. Like, there's so much to be excited for. I'm more excited to see what the actual Absolute Universe is gonna be like. I'm subscribed to everything. I can't wait to see what that Batman book is gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman is the one I'm looking forward to the most. And I can't and this is Jason Aaron's first time, like first real time as Superman, well, taking over Superman. So I want to see
Yeah.
what he's cooking up. But there's a lot to be excited for. And I hope now that this is a new universe, we can really slow down with the vets. I
Mm-hmm.
really hope so, because these books are supposed to be running concurrently. Like, the Absolute Universe is happening here, the main line is happening here, and they're supposed to parallel each other. So
Mm-hmm.
they need time to let them cook. If you really want to be a competitor to what they're doing over there in the Ultimate Universe, it's a year in now, with almost a year in with the Ultimate Universe. They're
Yep,
not
and it's
rushing
actually
events.
a year. Yep,
They
you're
they're
not.
not rushing. They just letting they letting shit cook. They letting shit marinate. Every other week, it's a new reveal. Like, we don't need an event. Just keep giving us good
We get
stories.
Hawkeye
We
this
good.
week,
Yeah, we got Hawkeye this week. So hey,
but you
let's.
know what? Not
Mhm.
to cut you off, but what if I said Absolute Power is not over yet? And the reason I say that is all the things Amanda Waller did to get in the position that she had is still ongoing. Justice League Court is dealing with the fallout of the deal that she probably helped orchestrate with the Thurns.
What, the Justice League Court?
Yeah, so okay, so you remember the whole thing that's going on in the Hal Jordan Green Lantern book, right?
The
Was
United Planets.
there you go. And remember, Amanda was in cahoots with the old buddy, right? The
Mm.
leader of the Durin that was like pretending to be the head of the United Planets. That's one plot line, right? I still don't think the light is over with because they talked about the light way too fucking hard for that shit just to be Brainiac, bro.
Yeah.
Just to be fucking Brainiac, bro. Like that's a waste of even getting our dick hard metaphorically. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I heard the light and I was like, well, damn, this got to be why Vandal Savage is the commissioner of Gordon. I mean, of Gotham now, shit like that. That's what I was thinking. Like um, but that's something that's still there. We still don't know what's going on with the Earth 3 shit, right?
Oh yeah, because they did come back.
The team that her nephew put together, because that's another thing I had an issue with, because they made that bullshit team up, bro, with all the black characters, right? Which everybody killed me on the timeline. I said it was just for you niggas to go out there and buy, right? They're not
Hmm.
gonna do shit with this alleged team. And I was like, you had Batwing, you had Vixen, and they hyped up this whole relationship. Remember, for like six
Yeah.
months, everybody was dick eating fucking Vixen and what you call it. And I was like, okay, cool. Then they had Deadshot and Valzad, right? And they put them all together for some reason, and then it was a team to stop Amanda Waller, right? Where the fuck was that at?
It was just
That's my
mentioned and never
biggest,
again.
that and Steve Trevor putting his own Suicide Squad together. Those are two things that I have an issue with. No, not Steve Trevor, Rick Flag. Those are the two things I have. If I have any problem with about absolute power, it should have been two more issues just to deal with that. Because the way Batman handled Deadshot in his tie-in, I was like, or Deadeye, whatever the fuck his name is, I was like, damn, why are you letting Batman beat up on you instead of you telling him that like your auntie is making you do this? Like,
And I
to
think there
me
was a
that
revelation during that time because didn't like didn't Batman show him his dead parents or something? She's like, yo, this is what Amanda Waller's been doing. And then I think he got shook or something, then he went away. But we haven't had any resolution with that.
I mean that with the Batman shit too, but just him plotting against Amanda, it never came to fruition.
Yeah.
Like he like so when let's backtrack. Let's backtrack to that Future State book or whenever that book was when she was in Earth 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when they introduced her nephew. I think they introduced her nephew in that book. Yeah, he was, but he's the one that attacked Ultraman at first, right?
Yeah, it's
So
been a
him,
while. Yeah.
they elaborated on his origin and how his powers came to be. I think in Lazarus Planet and in that other Suicide Squad book they had, that right before the one Nicole
Oh,
Mann did.
yeah. Dream Team.
Yeah, there you go. So they elaborated on his motivations. He doesn't like his auntie, all this shit. And then he had that team, right, with Vixen and Luke Fox and shit. And I was like, okay, so when you saw that book, they built that book to have ramifications later on. I think Nubia was on the team too, right?
Yeah,
Well, I think,
I can't remember the hold on, let me, yeah, but keep going. I'm looking it up right now
but
as you talk.
so you had that team, the Kingdom. Isn't that what it's called? The Kingdom. That's the name of the team. Um, but like they so like I don't know. It felt like it was seeds for something to come to fruition whenever shit came to hit the fan with Amanda Waller, right?
Yeah.
That's how it felt. The same thing with so at the end of that book, Rick Flag was like, "I'm gonna start my own Suicide Squad." We haven't seen Rick make his own Suicide Squad yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but I've gotten and it's shit like it's small details like that. But I got force fed fucking Peacemaker in every other page. You know what I'm saying? Like it's details like
Mm-hmm.
that take away from absolute power. But if I talk about it as like a just the way this event has made me feel is a good feeling. It's a half. I mean, in a lack of better terms, it's kind of a half-ass Civil War, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of what it's not what we talked about, like when we hypothetical our hypothetical the other time, but it's kind of like it was kind of like a bullshit version of Civil War. Um, but no, I think that's my only issue, bro. Those two plot threads and the United Planets, and currently we have the multiverse cut off. Barry Allen doesn't have his powers,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
but it's advertised like him and Wally are sharing the Flash title.
So,
So, so is Wally gonna be like sharing the power or some shit? Oh, that'd be crazy.
yeah.
Barry becomes
Yeah, I agree with you. There's opportunity for us to actually get the fallout that we're both looking for. Yeah, and again, it's a good place to start off clean because again, all
yeah.
these books right now they're pretty much starting off clean. So we'll see. But I do agree because yeah, I do remember some of those plot threads that came up, and we'll really know if this was really like a speed run if we never hear anything about them again. We'll
Very
know for
true.
sure. But the thing that gives me hope is that you have Mark Wade did say a lot in his interviews with about absolute power. He's like, hey, I made sure that all the tie-ins or whatever they were part of a puzzle piece. Now, like I said, this might hit as an omnibus. Like when you read it front to back, this might hit, but I really think what he meant as a puzzle piece, meaning something that might trickle down later down the line. Because for me, I said it before, I can't remember if it was the second to last time or the last time we spoke. This is not a crisis. This is just an event. So there's time for, more things to trickle down, because all we've been seeing lately is a lot of trickle down. So there's still time for absolute power to trickle down into, all in, and then maybe then that'll lead to, whatever the next major crisis is. So I'm excited to see how that all plays out. So again, we'll see what the next couple months look like. And I think Mark Waid is very just like Joshua Williamson. I think he's all about continuity, and I like the way that he handles continuity. Well, at least from based off what I've seen in Absolute Power. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see, bro. But I think, like you said, bro, I think the energy is where it needs to be, bro. Especially going into movie season the next couple of years.
But I think overall, I think we're on the same page, though. I think we're we're happy with DC All In. We're happy with how Absolute Power ended up. So I still have yet to read Batman. I still have yet to read a couple of the other books that launched, but we'll check in after a couple months and we'll see how the line is doing. But I do want to thank you, Quentin, for coming through. I know you had a bunch of shit going on today. But thank you, brother, for popping through, man. It's always good talking to you. And yeah,
Same here.
we will definitely be back. But I do want to give you a chance to, plug yourself, brother. So go ahead.
A lot of the same. Still writing. Issue two is finishing up. I think got a little slowed down. Martin had like some pain in his hand, so he was trying to get some rest before he started drawing again. Besides that, bro, I was just writing. I was just brainstorming some concepts for some villains the other day. I was gonna shoot y'all some previews and see what y'all felt about them. Uh, but nah, besides that, man, just working on that. I got a manga I'm working on. I told y'all about Flex the Mutated Pangolian
Oh yeah, that's
couple
right.
pods
Yeah.
couple pods ago. So just working on some stuff, man. I'm really just trying to, buying the house kind of set me back some. So, or renting the house rather. But I mean, like, it was still a process. So I'm trying to bounce back from that. And the wife, she hurt her ankle. So we'll get back rolling here pretty soon, and I'm gonna get y'all that information for the Kickstarter.
Yes,
Hopefully,
sir.
hopefully by January, but no later than my birthday. You got to see the house and stuff, kind of like pans out.
Bro, yeah, bro. I can't wait to see it. And yeah, we'll. I know we talked about you coming on here and doing the interview, so I'm still on board for that. So yeah, bro, take your
Yeah, for
time, and
sure.
when you're ready, let's do it.
I'm so down.
Let's do it. But yeah, thank you guys as well. You guys can follow me on a Roliver Queen underscore. Yeah, nothing crazy happening here. Just talking the usual shit on Twitter. And thank you all for subscribing to the channel. We are at 793 subs, almost at 800. So thank you guys for checking out the content. And yes, I know I skipped doing a 600 sub stream and I skipped doing a 700 sub stream. So we will do an 800 sub stream where I'll consolidate all of those big milestones together. Just stay tuned. And once again, y'all, thank you for checking out the content. And thank you once again for popping through. Um,
Always, brother.
and yo, much love, much peace. It's your boy Roliver Queen and Quintin, and we are out.
Peace.